Oh yes, legends, how's everybody doing? We got in the market getting a bit of a dumpy action here at the moment. We'll be analyzing the situation all together. Make sure to destroy that like button on your way in if you do enjoy the content, and let's say hello to the beautiful community here as we do see the price of Bitcoin going to the downside. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. Having some issues here with the connection, but it seems like it is popping on and off. Let me know, legends, how's everybody doing? Hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. We'll be going through the comment section and this dump, guys. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. How low are we going? It's not looking great for the bulls, guys. It's not looking good. There was only one main scenario that was mentioned in today's video update, and we're just rolling over. It's not looking good. It's looking like there is a very, very good chance, even though if we were to range a little bit longer or even go to higher levels, that it seems inevitable at this point that we'll likely be hitting $80,000. Of course, guys, this is my opinion, a little bit of a technical analysis that we're going to be breaking down here in the next coming minutes. Make sure to understand that this is not financial advice. None of my videos or live streams is financial advice, guys. Big disclaimer here. Make sure to be aware of this, okay? Muy importante. Just for education. Nothing is financial advice. And it's only my personal opinion and technical analysis, okay? Even though I feel confident on a scenario or not, it might not come to fruition. This is something that we're going to talk about as well. We have many days that are very, very good with predictions. The other day on Friday, we have to discuss this scenario, okay? It's super important to realize, you know, this triangle that was possible on the formation, to realize why the new information and how you can realize it has low probability, which happened throughout Friday and the weekend. And it's super crucial to understand that there's low probability after that information, okay? I think this was explained on today's video update, but we can break it down today. And it's not looking too great. This is actually a movement that is, you want to be a little bit cautious, because even though it would have been nice to continue a little bit of a larger range here for the most bearish case scenario, which is a double 1-2. I mean, if volume continues and we just continue moving to lower prices, this is a risky zone eventually with this price action that we are developing to speculate on any quick longs in this area, okay? Yes, we do have some point of controls. We do have some, you know, interesting support. It's a bit catching the knife situation and understanding the danger, right, of the double 1-2 here, where volume could really just kick in throughout the next coming hours between today and tomorrow, and it becomes a risky long at these support levels, okay? There is support, there is point of controls, there is daily. I'm not a fan at this point with the information that we have to the downside to really speculate on we're going to form a higher low, right? We're going to get that bounce. There is a bullish case scenario eventually that does hold this region, okay? So, I mean, there is an internal bullish case that literally gives us a recovery throughout the next week. You know, we're going to get that with a pinch of salt, guys. Obviously, if you're happy to take it, right now it is aggressive. We want to see a little bit of a sign of strength. We ended up having a three-wave structure to the upside in this structure, okay, to the upside that we've had throughout today after getting the drop of Sunday. Got a bounce. We never took out the recent highs. It would have been nice to take out those recent highs to give the bulls a chance, but it never happened. It ended up in a three-wave move. Never took the highs and just rolling over. Okay, guys, not looking too great. Let me just put the aircon on and I'll go through the comment section. Right, as soon as I get the lights on, it gets a little bit warm in here. Let's go through the comment section, say hello to the beautiful community, okay? Let's break down here this downtrend. Oh my goodness, it's going down. Oh, what shall we do? Is it going to bounce? Is it not going to bounce? I have to let you know here, guys. At this point where we are in the middle, literally, slightly lower. Well, yeah, you could arguably discuss we're in the middle. We're in the middle right now from 94K and 80K, all right? What comes first for Bitcoin, guys? You know the question here. What comes first for BTC? All right. Let me know down below in on the poll. Okay, we're gonna go with 80k, 80.5k, which is the low, and we're gonna go with 94k plus. Okay, I think I know where most of the votes are gonna go here. I really do think the votes are gonna go more to one side, and let's see throughout the next coming minutes what are the people voting here. Okay, legends. I'm considering this zone very, very risky at the moment to long it. I mean, there is support, okay? There, without a doubt, we are coming into a support zone. That is literally the high volume node of this range that we formed since mid-November. Okay, so it's just so we understand, there is a value area low, if you wish. High volume node right over here. Okay, which is where the price is sitting. So I mean, an internal bounce from this area. We got a daily slightly beneath us at 86.2, 86.3, 86, 282 to be more exact. I mean, it is an interesting area to get a reactionary bounce. Okay, but it's coming down with increasing volume. Yeah, you know, we can discuss the lower time frames eventually, because you know we're getting a little bit of a stop for the moment, which is a good first initial sign for a little bit of a rangy bouncy structure. Price has stopped already, which is good, right? When you get that big drop, and it starts trading here for 10-15 minutes, you start saying, okay, we're getting a slowdown. A little bit of a bounce is very, very possible right now, right? Once the price stops and it actually trades in that zone, right? You can sweep up the lows a couple of times, but that's the initial stages where you think, okay, you know, there is a chance here for a bounce, but I would class this as a, risky long zone at the moment, and it all has to do understanding the bearish case scenario, right, which is a multiple 1-2 potential finish structure here at the highs. All right, first of all, let's go through I always say go through the comment section. All right, let me know here what you think, guys. Woo. I mean, I would have to go bearish case scenario. I would have to go with 80.5k. 42% are saying 94k. There is that chance, okay, guys. There is definitely that chance to still come. You know, the moment I will show the invalidation where it, if we hit certain levels, which is not too far away, we're just a couple of $1,000s away from literally, almost confirming that we're coming down to $80,000. Not confirming, we can never confirm something in trading, but the probabilities will be extremely high that at a later stage, once we hit that level of the invalidation of the bullish case, it's just going to be looking not great, right? And we just expect the 80.5k to be hit at some point in the next week or two, right? So let's go. Staffer One, the legend himself. Much love to you, brother. Monday Money Day, absolutely. Slap the like button. Staffer, much love to you, brother. Thank you very much for joining. We are going down. Yes, sir, we are. Yes, sir, we are going down. Happy Monday, Path Maria. Much love. You longed. Me? Oh no, you're asking somebody else. Welcome to the fifth wave in the making. Oh my, oh my. Yeah, fifth wave, I guess, to the downside. You would refer, right? Yeah, fifth wave to the downside. I think he is talking about to the downside. Hi Andy and folks. Simple Jack, much love. Simple 3 Jack, much love to you. Short Ethereum dropping to 2,300 now. We'll discuss Bitcoin. We might fit in Ethereum later on, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is going to take an easy 30 minutes to 1 hour to discuss the several scenarios that we're looking at. I want to explain a few things as well based on education, right? Because it's the power of Elliott wave theory eventually gives you that. You have an idea, a scenario, and if the price moves in a certain way, you just don't like that scenario anymore, which is the beauty, of course, of Elliott wave theory eventually. Hit the like button, guys. Let's go. Much love, KJS Trading. Evening, Andy. How is the Fear and Greed Index doing? Very good question. I haven't checked, actually, but it's probably at fear, I would assume. Round about neutral fear maybe. It's following the S&P 500. Very true. Very true. It seems like S&P 500 is going down. We do have the main event, the main fear event of the week, guys. Even though some people are saying this is priced in because we know there's going to be that hike with high probability. Well, there is that high probability that that hike is going to happen in Japan on Friday. And the last few times that we've seen this throughout 24 and 25, well, yeah, it's brought a significant move to the downside, right? I think Japan is the third largest economy in the world, if I'm not mistaken. I should check that, but I think it is. But yes, I think it's around about third or fourth or so, which obviously has, they do have a big impact worldwide eventually, especially being one of the leading countries in, you know, technology. So anyway, we ain't here to speculate on that in economics. We're here to look at the charts. We are charts professionals, right? And look for different scenarios on how the price action can move. We see and hear you, Legend. Much love. Okay, much love to everybody. Bolakun, hi Legend, how are you? Joe, Diesel, the chicken or the egg, organismic. Hi from Thailand, much love. Hello, Legends. Okay, from 20 levels you mentioned, one should work. Yeah, very good one. That's actually true. The thing is the danger about dropping down in a third wave here. Okay, you know, I would class this as a very, very shallow wave too. It is what it is, but it doesn't make too much sense really, considering timing. If you're looking at this as a wave one, wave two, wave one, wave two, it would have been nice to get a bit of a three waver here and then, you know, attempt the third wave down, but it was just short. Sometimes it happens, and you know, price decides that it's not going to form a large two, and then you start moving down in a third. But this is why I kind of like the idea that based on timing, when we go on the bearish case, and it's not 20 levels, it's 3 levels, okay? Start being a smart ass out there, right? You saying, you know, one of the levels are going to hold. You've got so many on the chart. There's only 3 levels here, main levels here to the downside. And then there is a chance of bouncing, okay? Stop it. Be nice. Let's, discuss, you know, the main bearish scenario, which is, not this one. Eventually, we'll talk about that one later on. Is this one right over here, where, you know, if I'm honest with you, it doesn't look extremely nice. It doesn't look extremely nice where you have a finished structure. This looks nice, I have to say. This looks pretty okay. Zigzag up, zigzag wave X, and a zigzag here. You got your wave A. This was a beauty, right? We detected very nicely here a potential flat or a triangle and take out 94k plus. That happened. We got some people shorting as well here. This SFP, you know, quite aggressive, but good entry overall eventually. And the potential of this being a completed corrective structure, right? There is a possibility that that's it, guys. Right, the highs, there is a valid count for the highs to be in. We were very much skeptical throughout last week, you know, for this to be the high, right? This price action looked very, very corrective. This is why, you know, we detected the high chance of taking out $94,000, because all of this, I didn't like this as a 5 waver. As explained, 3 wave down, and then this price action, it looks good to take out the highs. Once you take out the highs, you have a zigzag already to the upside, right? You do have a zigzag to the upside. So you have the chance for this to be completed, right? As a bounce since the 21st of November. Right now, obviously, you know, this has not been the clearest price action. A little bit confusing for me, at least anyway. Sometimes it's easier. Sometimes it's more confusing. You need more information to be confident on a new trade setup. And the thing here with this movement to the downside, right? You can count a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't like this 4, 5. The 5th wave very small, but it's countable. Nothing is invalidating all of this to be a 5-wave structure. Just, if I don't like it, but it's a valid move. Based on the 5th wave, looked very, very small, but it is what it is, right? You know, you can counter 5-wave. If you can counter 5-wave, you can look for this for a wave 2, a lower high, right? Coming into the golden pocket, and then next move down in an impulse, which is a very valid count as well. You have a very, very valid count here as a 5-wave move to the downside. And that's when the triangle that we mentioned on Friday had low probability. With the drop of Friday and this long sideways movement, there's nothing bullish about this, guys, I'm sorry to say. But, you know, whoever was expecting, you know, one of the triangles to play out, was this one that we mentioned. There is a chance of a triangle formation, but you need to understand that when you get this drop, let me know if the music's too loud. When you get this drop as a 3-wave move down, big volume, very choppy range, very close to the lows, you know, you need to invalidate the 5-wave structure, and you need a significant bounce to start overlapping this low, and that would have been the moment of interest to say, okay guys, it's looking pretty good for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You're looking to take out this zone. You need that information. You need a bit of a sign of strength, okay, after a 3-wave move down. The problem is the weekend, very long, very rangy, and I have to say, you know, there's nothing bullish about this, unfortunately, right? If you are believing that this is some kind of a double 1-2, there's no chance, right? Because I mean, even this movement to the downside that we had on Sunday, we're claiming these higher lows. So yeah, it's just look very, very corrective sideways momentum. You know, eventually coming down here to the lows. There's nothing beautiful about this being bullish, unfortunately. So that's when you realize, you know, for this to be a 3-wave structure and to get a bounce after this long range, you know, is low probability. And you know, that's where you understand, you know, I don't want to long this as an E wave. We would have had a movement up to overlap this pivot low, right? And, you know, some kind of a, you know, corrective structure here. Then eventually would have said, okay, you know, it looks pretty okay to get that rally in the 3rd wave. But that's not the case, right? You know, it's a very, very poor weekend range price action. So eventually this, you know, it's important to understand, because, you know, I like very much to talk about the previous stream. Guys, you know, we nailed, you know, this triangle. We nailed a long position from here as well, okay? What else? What other price action? Talking about longs here, the daily level tap, aggressive entry, but very valid eventually, giving that possibility of an 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or an ABC flat, right? Similar to this scenario. And, you know, when there's a scenario that I like very much, and we have to check the price action in the next coming days, I need to talk about, you know, hey, this was wrong. Right? It's not that it was wrong. It's just with the information that was given throughout Friday and Saturday, it's, you know, it decreases the probability so much for this to be an E wave, right? The absolute, you know, beauty confirmation to be confident in this scenario would have been getting that drop throughout Friday, and then obviously throughout the weekend get a bit of a rangy, overlappy structure that you cannot form a, you know, a start of an impulse, right? Or this to be the wave 3. And, you know, when you have such a big drop in such a large, very large overlappy range, you know, there's just low probability to believe that this is going to rally. Okay, so you just need to understand that based on the information. So anyway, let's dive in through risky long. It is a risky long, but it's an area where we do have support, right? When we do get the fixed volume profile, when we get the point of control and the daily, I mean, this is an area where the price is, you know, it could get a bounce, right? The bounce corrective and then claim the low or not. You know, that's the thing eventually. But it is support, right? It is aggressive. You just moved down very quick into the support area, high volume node on the volume profile from the last price action of the last 3-4 weeks. It's risky, guys. You know, it is support, but you know, you need to understand that, you know, catching here the lows, you know, is a little bit risky. So we're going to break down a little bit a few of the movements that would be interesting. Obviously, with a big volatile move, we need choppiness, we need possible corrections, we need a range, we need exhaustion to be confident in a trade setup, right? It's all nice and good, you know, if you can catch a major move, but it's just risky, right? Especially considering the bearish case scenario. So we are going to break down a little bit on the 1 hourly time frame. What are the scenarios? What is the information that we need to see to be confident to get a bounce to $94,000? That, you know, I know certain information that is, if it is given in the next couple of days, we could say, okay, guys, there's a good chance that we could get to $94,000. All right, that the certain price action can give me a good chance that we're going to hit $94,000. It sounds pretty bold at the moment. Nobody believes it. It's going down. It's a bear flag. Yeah, I mean, for the moment, the probabilities are higher that this is a bear flag and that we could be rolling down based on the information that we have. Okay, the probabilities are leaning to the bears unless the bulls do something interesting here, right? So we're gonna break that down because there will be a certain price action. If given, we can say bingo, right? It's you know, we got good probability to take out 94,000 plus, but we're gonna have to use a bit of our imagination and a little bit of, you know, bullish structure in the next coming days. Anyway, let's take a look at that poll. Okay, there's more votes on the poll than likes, guys. Something's not working here. Something's not working. You have power to click on the poll, but not on the like, huh? Okay. Anyway, 61% right now to calling for 80.5k, which is the lows of the 21st of November. You know, makes sense eventually. Bear flag on the higher time frame. You know, there's a staircase up. It's about to elevator down, right? You know, very flaggy situation, right? That has been formed, already breaking the trend of higher lows, right? Doesn't take a genius to really understand that. You know, it's not looking too good. It's looking a little bit more bearish, right? And it's making it very difficult at this point for the bulls, at least the local bulls, to actually take out the recent highs. But let's go in. We'll break down a few things, guys. Okay, bear with me here. Just a quick hello. People shorting on the like button. That is right. Yeah, very true. Smash up the like. Legends, crypto, big brains. Much love, my man. It's a bear market, to be honest. Yeah, it's a very, you know, we are in a very strong downtrend from all-time high bear market, but we can look for opportunities, right? Daily opportunities. That's what it's all about, right? Trading with responsibility. Likes are free. Smash the like button. Verderi, much love to you. We are going to dump, folks. Looks like it. For the moment, this is a risky area eventually to look for a bounce. Risky zone to short as well, right? You don't want to short into support. You know, taking shorts throughout the last few days would have been better, but as the movement down, you know, happening here at a level of support on the volume profile, you know, it's you know, it's not a level that I would want to short eventually, right? So yeah, some bounces could be interesting, which we're going to discuss as well in today's video, in today's live stream. I clicked on the like button. Andy, thank you. Much love to you, my man. Big bounce in 2026. Yeah, I mean, supposedly there's going to be quantitative easing, right? Supposedly interest rates coming down aggressively and a lot of inflation in 2026. You know, the business cycle, as they say. Bitcoin will bottom out. There's no doubt about it. It always does, right? Unless there's a crack on the Bitcoin code, right, on the blockchain, and it goes to zero. Bitcoin will always bottom out unless that happens at some point, right? And I think that's going to happen in the very long future, right? Maybe 50 years down the line, 100 years, who knows? I don't think Bitcoin will be here forever, guys. It will disappear over the face of the earth at some point, when AI and quantum computer actually, you know, takes over the world. But I think it will be here for a few more decades. So we are good, guys. I think we will likely see Bitcoin at $1 million in the future, right? Next, 5 to 10 years, maybe. Obviously, big speculation still on that. Granny chart looks positive. Big bounce in 2026. We broke ascending support on the 1 hourly time frame. Let's crack down the scenarios here, legends. Okay, and we'll break down here a little bit of the technical analysis. Okay, so if you are ready for that, let's smash up the like button all together. Leave a comment later on the stream when the stream finishes, and let's break it down. Let's break it down. Let's talk about the bullish scenarios, right? Local bullish scenarios that were explained in today's video update this morning, but we're going to give it a chance. Why not? We like to give, we like to counter trend, all right? And we like to talk about, what needs to be seen, right, to actually feel bullish, to claim $94,000, which we do have some votes here. It seems a little bit too easy, right? Does this mean that everybody's going to short the break of trend? Is everybody shorting the break of trend right now to get down in the next 1 to 2 weeks to 80K, right? Sometimes it is that simple. But, it would be too easy, right? Let's all just short, put a stop loss a bit far away to the upside, right? And, easy peasy, bear market. Right, and we're going to go down to right to 80,000 minus 80,000 in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Risk reward is not too great, right? It's a 1-to-1 at this point, but yeah, we'll be discussing the different, more in detail scenarios, guys. Okay, so bullish case, much love to everybody. I'll do comment section in a bit. Stafford, much love. Crypto Big Brains, I can see you here. Much love to you. I can see here this man, Crypto Cowboys. If Thins is winning Donald Trump, I'm tired of winning. Yes, very true. If you're shorting, you're winning here locally anyway. Let's break down the scenarios. Bullish case. Bullish case scenario. This is still a possibility, even though we're very close to invalidating the ascending contracting diagonal. This would be a leading diagonal, and yeah, we have a very, very wide range still for this to be valid. This will be invalidated as soon as we tap. If we were to tap today, 85.8K. If we tap tomorrow, 85.9K. It's getting very, very tight at this moment. Not my favorite scenario. Contracting diagonal. We mentioned in today's video update, there's only one main bullish case scenario. Okay, it's not looking good for the bulls. There's only one main bullish case scenario, and it's this one. And we still need a lot of information eventually, right? We would need a move up to take out the highs above $94,000, and then we can say we have a completed 5-wave move to the upside in a contracting diagonal. Till then, as a contracting diagonal has the, it's the lowest probability scenario if you can count many other structures, such as a simple bear flag, then eventually this does not have the highest probability. This will have the highest probability if you move up, claim above 94K, 95K, and then form a corrective move here throughout the next coming weeks. That's when this looks very interesting. That's when this looks interesting for the price to, start rallying once we get this information eventually. But this is going to take at least another 1 to 2 weeks. And we are just about to invalidate this contracting diagonal. Okay, we're not too far away. We're about $1,500 away from it, actually less from the low. So it's not looking pretty for this scenario. Any of the brave bulls out there would just say, this is going to hold. This point of control is going to hold. I feel brave enough. I'm happy to put the invalidation, my stop loss beneath the invalidation of the contracting diagonal. And I'm going to take the chance, right? Anybody that would trade this pattern and longing a way for, you just need to understand that this is your invalidation beneath this trend line. because then it would be a channel, and there's nothing contracting, you know, in this. Once you hit that channel, you know, I would really take this as a risky long. Reason number one, you can detect many other scenarios in this zone, one being a potential correction finished at the highs from the 9th of November at 94.6k, and this is a double 1-2, and you are developing the third wave here, maybe another 1-2, and then you end up breaking down, right? And then 4-5, 4-5, then this is the zone that we would be interested in longing once that low is taken. That's good. That's going to be interesting eventually for some longs. The other scenario, well, I mean, yeah, the other scenario, we're going to break it down right away. It's still bearish, but it's locally bullish. It's still higher time frame bearish, but it's locally bullish, and we're going to talk about it right away. Okay, so I would class this long as risky. Contracting diagonals are the least favorite if you have a few scenarios basically that are corrections, complex corrections. Okay, so yeah, it's a risky trade, guys. It is a risky, low probability trade, but if you know how to manage risk, eventually the attempts could be there. I have to say, I'm not too interested in this scenario. All right, it is a very, very risky scenario. But anyway, if you risk a few peanuts, why not, right? Why not? It's all about risk management. So just because we have support as well, you would say, no, I'm just going to give it a chance, right? Just because we do have that high volume node, daily point of controls, naked point of controls, right? Take that with a grain of salt, guys. This is not the highest probability scenario, unfortunately, but it needs to be covered because there is a chance, right? What would be the best chance to consider the long here instead of catching the falling knife, right? When you have a bearish case scenario that is obviously leading the way. Eventually that finished WXY 1-2 1-2. You're developing the third wave already, or you're going to get another 1-2, very corrective bounce, and then nuke down throughout the next coming days, right? Boom, boom, 4-5, 4-5. You claim below 80k. Then this zone will be looking interesting for longs. There's no doubt about it. But for the moment, you know, this is not the greatest chance. So what would have to be confirmed for this, right? You know, the price moves in waves, right? The price by now, right? We know that the price moves in waves. You get a movement up, a corrective structure, a movement to the upside, move down, corrective structure, move down, right? You move up very aggressively. This is beautiful impulse. Move to the downside. You're chopping, then another wave up. What we would have to see and try and detect here to give this a chance, this scenario a chance, guys, instead of trying to catch the low, which has there's low probability as mentioned, right? The chance is there, but then the people might get pissed off and saying, yeah, we got the bounce in the end and I didn't manage to catch the low. Well, you know, it's a risky chance. Your invalidation is pretty clear. It's this trend line right over here, and that's by getting a channel, okay, from the two main peak highs of the wave 1 and the wave 3, okay? Just for anybody that wants to be aware of how do we get that invalidation for a contracting diagonal, we get wave 1 and wave 3, you connect it to the wave 2, and that bottom of the channel invalidates a contracting structure, right? That's it. So anybody that was just curious, then I know a lot of people must know that, but we just point it out for anybody that doesn't know it. What we would have to see is some kind of an interesting reversal bounce, right? Some kind of an interesting 5-wave structure to the upside, right? It's not going to be perfect. Sometimes they're horrendous. Big 1 and 2, small 4-5, right? Most commonly, you do form a regular 5-wave move with a higher move on the third wave with higher volume. It's the most common way of how the price moves, just like this movement right over here, where you have your 1 and 2, your third wave, and your 4 and 5, right? That's the most common way how the market moves. So you would have to see this kind of price action here, but eventually on the lower time frame, on the 15-minute, right? You would have to see some kind of a 5-wave move to the upside develop, all right, in the next 1 to 2 days. So after that 5-wave move to the upside, then that overlappy corrective structure, that's the moment that you would eventually, you know, and this 5-waver could be huge, right? And then the wave is like this. You don't really know how, you know, with looking at the proportion on how this could develop, but you can detect it, right? You can detect it, just as we were detecting this, you know, 5-wave move to the upside, right? The highest probability here was to roll down. Do we get one more high or not? Well, you know, it's this, the double, triple tops become very, very, very lucrative at this point. Very, very much, right? You just want to be defensive. If you get stopped out, you take the chance again, because the probabilities in rolling down here are very, very high, because you know, you can easily detect that 5-wave move to the upside, right? It doesn't matter how it is, you will see it. You will manage to see it at some point if it were to happen. And as this contracting diagonal is developed with 3-3-3 waves, right? What do I mean by that? I mean, if it were to be the pattern that is developing, it's a 3-wave up, it's a 3-wave down, it's a 3-wave up, it's a possible 3-wave down, right? You know, if you do get that impulse, well, that would be your first wave, right? And the corrective wave would be the interesting one to get in, right? As it's a 3-wave contracting diagonal, each wave has 3 waves. We would have to detect that first push up in a 5-wave structure. And this is the zone where it looks interesting to get in. That would give you a little bit of higher probability if eventually we do get some kind of a clear 5-wave move to the upside. That's when this becomes, you know, relatively interesting. We're looking at 50% golden pocket zone, you know, stop at the low, target the highs, and, you know, maybe a little bit higher. That's, you know, that's the moment where you can look for this to have a better chance to play in your favor. Till that doesn't happen, bearish scenarios are looking more interesting, guys. Okay, bearish scenarios. This is like the only main bullish case, which eventually would be bullish throughout the next coming weeks. You know, we would look for a corrective structure here after the 5th wave, and then, you know, we're looking for Valhalla, right? But a lot of information is needed, and we're not giving this the highest probability, unfortunately. Okay, so for the bulls, it's not looking too great. Even though you might be very, very bullish, we might get some votes here on the poll saying that what comes first for the price of Bitcoin. We got 80.5, which is the lows of the range at 80,500 from the 21st of November. And the highs above 94K, which was just formed last week, right? Which is this one right over here from last Tuesday at 94.6K. Not looking too great for the moment for those voters here, okay? The 37% of the votes are 94K plus. We don't hit 80.5K, and, you know, with the information that we have, it's not looking great for that scenario. So I love it when we are in bearish trend and people are still bullish. Yeah, well, we cover it. You know, I am saying that, you know, the bearish scenario is in favor. Okay, the bearish scenario is in favor, but as technical analysts, right, we need to discuss what needs to happen for the bulls, right, to be confident in the bullish scenario. So you can't only be bearish or only be bullish. You can have a favorite scenario. My favorite scenario on the higher time frame is that this is likely going to be corrective, a bear flag, right? And at some point in the next coming weeks, right? Bullish scenarios were already looking very dodgy. If this had to be a 1-2 and this a 1 and a 2, you know, your second wave 2 is much longer than your first 2. it's not looking great for the bulls, right? We understand that. Okay, I understand that the probabilities lean to hit 80,500, right? So but we, it's fun to discuss the bullish case. It's fun to discuss because we could see some scenarios that happen suddenly, right? Because then people would say, what happened, right? If we were to get that 5-wave move up and a corrective bounce here, people are going to still believe that we're going to roll over here. Okay, this is a very, very classic trap situation where it looks like it's rolling over, but you got your first sign of strength here in a 5-wave structure, corrective move, and people that are not too aware of Elliott wave theory and looking at other possibilities such as the contracting diagonal, will believe that this is going to roll over, and then suddenly you get that spike up to sweep up the highs, right? So it's just and that's eventually the bear trap equation that we need, right? We need that pump correction. Then it's going to be looking interesting. That's where I would be very, very interested eventually to participate in that move. It's not always like we want it, but we can have an idea. We can get plans ready. For the moment, I have to say, it's a little bit of wishful thinking, right? It's wishful thinking till we get the bulls stepping in. So probabilities are, for the moment, that this is what we're looking at. Okay, I have to say, this is like the interesting scenario here. If we wanted to step into a new trade, it's not making it easy, right? If we are going to be developing a third wave down throughout the next coming days, we need to try and get into the bounces after a 5-wave structure. Okay, so when we talk about a 5-wave move, we talk about this from a recent high. If you count this movement down, I was giving both options here, I have to say, let's be honest. I was giving both options. I didn't like this too much as a 5-wave structure, but I got a smack in the face and it was a 5-wave structure. Okay, but we were considering it. I just didn't like it too much, but we obviously consider the option. If this is a 5-wave structure, we did also mention the option for the bears. You're literally looking for a lower high between the 50% and the golden pocket. I mean, this is your lower high region if you believe that this is a 5-wave move down. We always give that option. If this is a 5-waver, this is where we are rejecting, right? Stop loss at the high, entry point, you're claiming the low, and it obviously has the potential of claiming this very low at 80.5. So obviously you want to get into the wave 2s if you are, if we are going to roll over. And obviously this has the potential of coming down to the ultimate lows, right, at 80.5k. But that is the area. You had a 5-wave down, very countable, very possible. The bounce needs to form a lower high between 50% and the 7/8 Fibonacci, which it literally did, right? It did just gently tap the 7/8, and that's where it rejected. You had a 5-wave move to the downside, very countable bounce. Where does a wave 2 usually reject? Usually, not always. You can reject at the 382, you can reject at the 0.88, but the common area is between 50% and 7/8, and that's where we rejected in this case. So what happened next throughout Friday and the weekend? Well, a very countable 5-wave move down from this recent high. Very, very quick, very sharp. You can count a 3-waver here. There was a little bit of a bounce, higher low, and a sharp move up, I have to say. A bit of a sharp, aggressive 3-wave structure. But then from that recent high, that's when you had a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, right? Obviously, this wave 2 was a little bit too quick, I have to say. This is sometimes, if technical analysis was, if Elliott wave theory were to be perfect, then it would be super, super simple, right? To just say, hey, it's a 5-wave move up or down, and we're getting into the wave 2, hey, give me 5. We're all getting in and making huge gains. Well, sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes we do not hit the levels, or we do not correct like we want the price action to correct, right? If this is a wave 2, if this is a second wave 2, only hit the 382 Fibonacci, It is a target also for a wave 2, but it's a shallow one. It's not the most common one, but hey, you know, this is not perfect. So with this scenario, eventually, it's not going to be looking too nice for the bulls in the next coming days. You know, with this scenario, taking this scenario into consideration, you either break down throughout today and tomorrow, even in the next coming hours, you just don't get a major bounce, and volume increases as we are dumping. It just doesn't get the bounce, right? And it just breaks down. You know, this is just not this is preferably not the zone where you want to jump into a short, but just so you understand that, you know, just because we do have that support on the volume profile and some, you know, naked point controls, support is there to be broken, right? And especially when you have on the higher time frame, we've had a very multi-week rangy bouncy structure, very overlappy, and you know, it's about time for the price to leave the zone, right? I would very much say that it's you know, it makes sense for the price to just go right now and break down, get some volatility, and actually move to lower prices, because this has been a multi-week bounce in the bearish downtrend that we've had from all-time high. It just fits about right based on timing and the overlap to just really just kind of break down here throughout the next coming days. So any longs here are very, very risky, okay? Just to point that out. Eventually longs here are risky. Just understanding the drop down with increasing volume. If this turns out to be a 1-2-1-2, then eventually the third wave, you know, will crack down a few $1,000s to the downside. Okay, just so you understand that is very much a possibility. And for the moment, it's the scenario that we're leaning on, right? So yeah, that's a little bit it. Okay, that's a little bit it. That's what we would be interested in throughout the next coming days, is once you have that third wave finished, you know, a little bit of a bounce, you're looking for another 4 in, another 5, you know, you might get a first SFP from the lows, and then you just claim the lows again. That's the only main reason here, is because you have a 1-2-1-2, and after a double 1-2, after the big breakdown, wherever it ends, we don't know exactly where it could end. Wave 3 can be very ferocious and could even claim the lows. But what you want to see later on is slowdown, right? That's what we're looking for in impulse here. Double 1-2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. You want to see this kind of price action, and that's where we are looking for the price to bottom out, preferably after claiming the lows, and a, you know, significant bounce is what we would be looking for that could develop in a few weeks. Okay. So I mean, you need that information, right? You need that information. If we move down in the next coming days, we continue moving down, big volume, boom, 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 right? And then we start chopping here the lows. You know, I understand that this is where we are looking for the internal double bottoms, detect the 5-wave move down on the last wave, and obviously look for some levels of support that we have down here. We've got a weekly TPO point of control. It's a weekly naked point of control at 77k, literally. Okay, so I mean, that's an interesting area. If you already get the move down, you claim that low, you start chopping 4-5 into support. You know, we're looking for that reversal bounce, potentially similar to this one. It's going to probably can take a few weeks to get a bounce before it just rolls over and we just continue the downtrend, right? It's a downtrending market for the last few months. You know, there's nothing stopping this downtrend for the moment, right? With the information that we have from the bounces that we're getting, right? So obviously this would be the zone for longs, and then the zone, depending on the bounces, will be the zones to look for shorts. If we get overlappy structure, very corrective, we ain't going to talk about that eventually because we need the information. But this would be the main scenario till proven otherwise. In a potentially developed wave 3, you know, I'm not too interested in either doing it, not doing nothing, right? entering a short down here? I don't think so. Not today. Looking for longs with volume, increasing. I rather won't, not do anything here to look for a trade setup. Okay. If we get that information, boom, boom, bum, bum, bum. That's where it's interesting looking for longs, and then we can look for shorts later on once we get that bounce developed. Whoever's been shorting these wave twos, speculating on this wave two. I mean, this was without a doubt the best option. There's maybe some people that got into an SFP here. We talked about this short. I did get some messages of people getting into this short position here. This was a high probability lower high pivot. Who remembers that? That was from Wednesday when we had the FOMC. The probabilities were forming a lower high here in this region. We almost claimed that high, and I did get some comments of people on the stream after that they did catch the short right there. So absolute legends, whoever did, and whoever got into short in this range. Yeah, very, very good. You had that 5-wave move to the downside, potential 5-wave down, bounce in a wave 2, golden pocket 7-8 fib. That's the zone, right? You want to short your wave 2s to get into your wave 3s. Once you get into the wave 3s, yeah, not ideal, even though you could short here and maybe the price just continues going lower, and they're like, I shorted because we were just going down. But it's not ideal to jump onto the shorts on the wave 3s when you got a bit of support, because you could get that bounce. So one option as well here, if you wanted to consider a new trade to get into a short. Come on, it's bearish, we're going down. We should be looking for shorts. We're in a bear market. The option here, you're in validation here for a multiple 1-2. Okay. Same for this one. However, this was a very, very difficult short position. I have to say, at least for me and my understanding, right, as a strategy. As we're getting this movement to the downside, this is your invalidation for a triple 1-2. So if you do get this 1-2, 1-2, and then you get, you find support here out of nowhere. Well, you do have some support. You do have some levels. Doesn't mean you need to get supported. And you get that choppy bounce, then this is your invalidation. If you want to take that chance to enter a new trade, the invalidation is literally the highs here, and this has the potential of claiming below 80k. That's if you want to join the trend. Preferably you join in a bounce just to minimize risk, but that's how I would be looking at a new opportunity. You just need to know that if you claim 90k, we could see the local bullish case scenario, which could happen in the next coming days if we were to get a more solid bounce. That is your invalidation. This is like proper risk management, understanding that if this is not a triple 1-2 and you get a bounce and you claim this high, we're probably looking at something else, right? When we need to discuss what could happen as well. But anyway, that's for anybody that is very, very bearish, and where the solid opportunities and good risk management would be if this turns out to be a triple 1-2, right, where you have one more 1 and 2 before you get the big breakdown. So yeah, 50% to the 7-8 would be your zone from this pivot. That's your invalidation. Discussing other scenarios, and we'll go through the comment section right away. There is one interesting scenario which it's not looking too great. You can break down the support of this contracting diagonal. That's all good. That's all fine. But yeah, I mean, well, this was a pretty. This is looking at. We discussed this in today's video update. Not looking extremely great for the moment, I have to say. Not looking too great. Ay, la madre. If we count this movement to the downside, wave 1, wave 2, yeah, I mean, this is like, it is actually, it's still valid as long as you do not hit, if the wave 5 is not longer than the wave 3, which is coming all the way down to 84k. So as long as you maintain above 84k, you know, this could be a contracting diagonal that could be part of a flat here for your wave X. I mean, when I talk about this, it's like, come on, bro, you know, stop it with this nonsense, right? Stop it with the nonsense here with the waves. But it's a valid scenario, because, you know, if we were to get, and the only good way to be confident about this scenario, as we mentioned today, is getting a 5 waiver. I left a little hint in today's video that we need to take the highs locally here for this to be a 5 waiver. We didn't. We missed taking out the highs. This ended up being a 3 waiver. So if we would have taken out the highs here, we could have considered a 5 wave move, and if we would have corrected down in a bit of a channeling situation, then yeah, that's the opportunity, right, to get into this wave. But it didn't happen, right? So as it didn't happen, you know, there's just no, the opportunity is not there. Yeah, with this scenario, I have to say, we need something similar. You know, for the moment, we're giving priority to the bears, I have to say. You know, the doors are open for the bears to move down, to break down, but we just need to consider what would be the bullish case to take out 94k, at least 94k, then we'll check the price action. What needs to happen for the bullish case? It's not looking good, right? It's not looking great. It's not looking good at all. This is still valid for a contracting diagonal as long as you don't hit 84k. But you might think, well, where is the opportunity, right? Because that's, you know, you might think, you know, this guy is talking about this scenario, and we're ultra bearish. We're just about to nuke down in the next coming days. We've got the hikes in Japan on Friday. You know, it's bearish. Come on, this is a bear flag. Stop talking about bullish scenarios. You know, and if you talk about them, how do we need to approach it, right? Where is the opportunity? Well, eventually it's not coming down here and getting into a long in this area. This is very, very risky. As we're moving down based on the bearish case, 1 2 1 2, it's either 3 from here and another 1 2 and then 3, whatever. You know, if we do create one more 1 and 2 or not, it's not looking too great. We're getting movement down with high volume. What would need to happen for this to be the scenario, right? What if, you know, this still has a chance as long as it maintains above 84k? Well, it's just like the other scenario that we mentioned of the contracting diagonal here. We would have to see, you know, some kind of a 5 wave structure, right? Let's put here the invalidation at 84k, because it's needed. 84k is the invalidation here for this contracting diagonal, and this contracting diagonal invalidation right over here at 94k. Let's just put that in here. What we would need to see, and this is obviously looking for a zigzag move up in wave W, ABC flat. It's kind of wishful thinking, right? It's like, come on, man, this ain't gonna happen. Well, to be confident that this could happen, we literally need that 5 wave move to the upside, and preferably if we do hit 90k. This is where it becomes muy interesante for the bulls. where you kind of break the downtrend structure, the last lower high, and that invalidates the multiple 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. If you manage in the next coming days, right, which is a little bit of wishful thinking at this point, but if it does manage to bottom out at some stage without hitting $84,000 and it rallies in a 5-wave move to the upside, right, and then rolls down, gets that overlappy, okay, 3-wave structure, 3rd wave fails, that's where it becomes interesting to speculate on. Okay, guys, yeah, and this would be perfect because it looks like you're rolling over. You just formed a bounce, okay, and whoever doesn't have any knowledge of Elliott wave theory and understanding the structure here and the possibility of this popping out here, because that would be a surprise, right? That would be a big surprise for the bears, especially now as we downtrending, got high volume, right? This is not the moment to really short or long or do anything really. We need the price to stop, new information, and see what's going on. It's an interesting take, but as long as we maintain above $84,000, a contracting diagonal here, right, ending diagonal would be very much possible for this ABC flat. However, we need this move. This kind of move is needed, some kind of a 5-wave move to the upside on the 15-minute to 1 hourly time frame that looks pretty impulsive, and a bit of a choppy, rangy correction here, and it will look like that it's going to roll over, right? This is only a dead cat bounce. I'm shorting like crazy. We're coming down to 80k. This is going to be the opportunity area to take those longs to potentially take out 94k plus, right? 95k plus. It's a bit of wishful thinking at the moment, but just so you realize where the market changes, right? Where the probabilities change, right? I've seen this many times before, where it looks like it's going to roll over, and then suddenly you get some kind of a strong bounce that ends up rolling over, but you just get lots of shorts entering, bullish CVDs. And this rollover is getting choppy and corrective. You get that absorption. It will be detectable. It will be detectable. Okay. But we just eventually need that 5-wave impulse up and the correction. That's where we want to participate, right? So yeah, we're gonna have to need a little bit of information there, guys, in the next coming days. But it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm not saying that it's going to play out. I'm saying that it could happen. And if we get that 5-wave move up and a very choppy, correction with, bullish CVD divergence like crazy, lower lows, okay, on the CVD and higher lows on the price action eventually here in this zone, then, it's an interesting long. It's an interesting long trade. And, a lot of people would enter more shorts, believing that this is going to roll over, right? Because you look for that bounce to the upside, 5-wave structure, you're moving down. I told you it's just going to roll over. It's another dead cat bounce, and then suddenly you squeeze out here, bang, right? And you actually move to higher prices, and it's kind of a bear trap situation. But I have to say, at this point, it's a bit of wishful thinking, but something that you can be ready for. If what you're looking at, right? This is your strong sign of strength, the last lower high of today at $90,000. And if it is impulsive, fast and nice with high volume, and if it's slow and corrective, then eventually there could be some absorption here and you get that squeeze of short positions. Just a little bit of higher time frame on what we could be looking for the moment. Let's stay real. The bears have priority for the moment, right? People might get confused. A lot of people might join the stream, and here we are talking about bullish scenarios, and people might leave and saying this guy's absolutely out of his mind. It's understanding where the opportunities lie, right? It's just that. But yes, if you ask me, bears have priority. They have priority for the moment. Big volume down. No solid bounces. Unfortunately, since the high, right? Since the high that was created here at 94.6k, I mean, the bounces absolutely sucked. And the movement down, this was a very, very, very detectable 5-wave move to the downside. The ABC flat here had higher probability. We discussed a lower high here has higher probability despite the FOMC and all of that nonsense. The highest probability on the chart was a lower high because the movement down looked aggressive and it did not look corrective. So a flat here was the preferred scenario on the news, right? So unfortunately, all of the bounces that we've had, we haven't had a completed impulse. There's been no impulse. There's been nothing here. So they've been very corrective bounces, and that's what we need, to really say, okay, guys, this is actually looking okay, right? Compared to the previous ones, that none of them look impulsive. Well, we need one, right, to be confident that, okay, we're going to reverse. So yeah, whoever shorted last week here, an absolute legend. It's literally the high, and it's literally the high, and it does have a very good chance. This is the kind of short that you want to leave open as a swing trade, to take out 80k. It's very, 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 very good. Very, very good moment to be in a short and leave that, part of that short open, understanding that, it might be just the moment where it just ends up breaking down, right? Obviously, in simple terms, we've broken the trend, right? It's the moment to break down already. Anyway, legends, make sure to smash up the like button. Anybody that is interested in trading, guys, we do have Bluffin down below with great perks, okay? Make sure to check out the deal. There's a $1,000 deposit bonus. If you deposit $7,000, you get $1,000 on top of that for your trading, okay? Absolute legend bonus here from Bluffin. That is the first link down below in the description. And you also have the decentralized option, which this is doing a lot of noise, but I am very happy for decentralization. It's the way to go eventually long term. And you have Velto here, which connects directly to your wallets, MetaMask, Ledger, Trezor, whatever you want. It connects to all different type of wallets, and there's no middleman. You have full custody of your funds, guys, and this is literally the future eventually, right? No middleman, and these have very competitive fees. It's 0% make a fee and 0.02% take a fee, guys. They're like muy bueno, very, very good. Very, very good. Let's go right away through comment section and see what's going on. Why cry I am bearish? True. Let's take a look at the votes here. Over 500 votes on today's poll. What comes first for Bitcoin? 64% are actually leaning on the 80.5k. Makes sense, guys. It does make sense at this point, right? It makes sense with the information that we've been getting throughout the last few days. No major strong bounces. Have a possibility of, that correction, that bounce since the 21st of November to be finished eventually, right? With that WXY double zigzag. And it looks like it's about time to roll over. Let's see. For the moment, this has priority. Continue the downtrend. An option is another 1 and 2, where your 1 is getting developed. You get that bounce, very corrective. You end up nuking down at some point in that wave 3, high volume. And obviously what we're looking at is the 4-5s here, right? That's where you were looking for the bottom formation after that gap with high volume for that reversal, sweeping up the lows, getting down to the weekly naked point of control TPO chart, okay, which is sitting at 77.2k. Not much more has to be discussed. Let's go through the comment section and say hello. People still think we are in a bull market. CMRP. No way, people are still trying to long, thinking it's a normal correction. Save your money and wait for October 2026. Short only. We can get into longs as well. Okay, you know, why not long the uptrend that we had in the last few weeks? We talked about longs and shorts. I mean, we are looking at it as a day trading perspective, and trades that last maybe 3-4 days, it might last a week. We can long the market as well, right? Why not, you know, long these movements, right? We did talk about a long position in this zone. This was a zone where we're looking for double, triple bottoms. It all had to do with the high volume movement and the choppiness here. Every time you have a big move with high volume and choppiness, it points out for a reversal. Big volume move, choppiness, reversal. Big move down with volume, choppiness, reversal. So, you know, we these are big moves. These are significant moves, right? Why not, you know, look for longs here? 10% move, bring it on. You know, this is a good move. So we can long and short, but you just need to realize when the probabilities are in your side for that long trade. Not only shorts. If you were shorting throughout the last, you know, previous weeks, you know, maybe some people shorted here with too much leverage, and, you know, they had a tough time with these bounces of, you know, 5 to 10%. Not shorts only. Eventually shorts on the higher time frame, on the bouncers, you know, definitely have priority on that to look to claim 80,500. But I wouldn't say short only. Longs are scalps only, yeah, really quick and in and out. Shorts are way easier and faster. 40k, just ready thought. I am short from 87k. 87k. How down do you think we're gonna go? I'm short from 87k. Wow. Well, that's not the greatest entry, is it? That's not the greatest entry. Let me double check here on that scenario, on that level. Oh man, you know, it's never the greatest idea, even though we have the potential of moving down here with high volume still, right? This could be the wave 3, guys, right? This could just still continue nuking throughout the next coming hours between today and tomorrow. But I wouldn't be a fan, and never a fan of getting into a short when you've had, you know, you've had a bounce. You got this being the high. You know, you got this lower high, big move down. And now the movements are slowing down. They are slowing down. The big move happened here. Shorting here, you know, brings some risks, right? What I could tell you here is that hopefully what we are developing here is a wave 3 already. Hopefully we are developing the wave 3. But that's hope. There is a chance for this to develop the wave 3. But when you zoom in on the lower time frames, yeah, I wouldn't be too interested here in, you know, you got the movement, first moves down, the big movement, and then your possible wave 4s and 5s. The big move happened, so you got the chance here for a 5 waver to happen. Hopefully you get a corrective bounce and you continue going lower, and this is another wave 1 and a wave 2. But shorting down here, you know, let's you know, you it's not a great level, I have to say. Where's your stop loss if you shorted from 87k? You know, I would say maybe it's not a bad idea to put it at break even, or, you know, it depends on your strategy, right? It depends on your strategy. I don't have a strategy here to get into a short trade all the way down here when the big move maybe has happened already, right? So let's say that, you know, let's hope that this is the break of the channel, right? And it's actually going to develop the wave 3. There is a good chance that it could go to much lower prices, you know, give or take 82, 81, you know, already head to the lows at 80k in the next coming days, right? Where you just continue nuking down here with high volume. Then you get a bounce, wave 4, boom, boom, take the lows, 4 and 5, take the lows. But it's just not a great zone to enter a short. 87k is not a good entry, but you might be lucky and it might continues to nuke down in that wave 3. So yeah, amazing TA, very clear. Trick Crick, much love to you. Thanks, brother. I try to. Screw middleman, lol. Yeah, very true. Screw middleman for that decentralized platform. Andy, how do you feel about the strong support you mentioned between 86 and 87? At this point, I'm not, you know, the support is interesting when you come down in a 5-wave move to the downside. Okay, supports are interesting for a reversal when you are finishing a 5th wave structure. Now, the only 5th wave structure that we could be finishing here is, you know, is from a contracting diagonal, and that's, you know, bringing a little bit of hope. That's bringing a little bit of hope here. The only way, and contracting diagonals are never the favorite scenario, so I'm not confident that this zone it could hold. Okay, not confident at all, because if it were to come down in an impulse from this pivot, if we would have come down in a 5-wave move, right, from that zone, then, you know, you got the high volume in the wave 3, then it would have been interesting eventually here to speculate on longs at this zone of support. But we didn't come down like this. Then I would have said, guys, ABC flat here. It was an option already since we created that high. It was an option. Then it would have been interesting very much a few days ago to look for longs here. But when you move down from this pivot high and you have a very countable wave 1, 2, 1, 2, and you got high volume moving down to the level, man, this is not great to give you a high probability bounce. You know, I'm not too confident. Of course we could bounce. You know, of course we could bounce, but it's just not giving you a high probability setup here. And where we at right now, I would just rather sit on my hands, right, and not do anything where the market is at this moment. Considering the very, very bearish case scenario eventually, which is breaking down in a 3rd wave. Okay, so these levels could be sliced through, little reactions, little nothing burger, and just continue breaking them in the next coming hours. You know, there is that good chance that could happen. Okay, so just so you understand, even though we have beautiful levels from zones and a high volume node, maybe it is the time, based on Elliott wave structures, that it could be broken. Even though it's a high volume zone, it could very much break down throughout the next coming hours, just so you understand that. So it's not a great high probability bouncing zone considering this structure, unfortunately. This is a zone this is not to be silly with leverage, guys, when you're looking for longs. Okay, this is seriously not a zone to be silly about longs positions here. This is a zone that if you're not careful and you long with irresponsibility, right, you know, people can get hurt here. People can get hurt if they are caught in the wrong side of the market. Check the comment. We are doomed. Then what is the great zone to enter anything? Yeah, I mean, we mentioned a few levels and scenarios a few days ago. I mean, pretty spot on, I would say. We mentioned in this area. We didn't talk about a short here. We talked about a long here. We talked about a long here, even though we had to get a little bit of bounce. I mentioned that this was an aggressive SFP, but it was optional. I longed this one, but I longed on the bounce, realizing that, you know, this is probably finished. Talked about longing the triangle here. Talked about a short here. Leaves them open eventually. We talked about this triangle, but we needed the information, and the information was just not good. As explained at the beginning of the stream, it was explained in today's video update as well. And yeah, just no recent trades here, unfortunately. What we need to see has been explained. I've explained a few setups throughout the first 30 minutes to 1 hour of the stream today. You just need to watch that. We do talk about what we need to see for the bullish case, which is taking out 94k. Okay, the different scenarios that are still possible, but you know, they're just about to get invalidated. What needs to happen is an impulse up in 5 waves and a corrective structure, and then it could be interesting to long. Okay, for the moment, sitting on my hands, waiting patiently, and the probabilities are go to lower prices eventually. All right, legends, thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for smashing up the like button. Tomorrow we'll do another live stream, see what we have with the information, and see if we get some more higher time frame opportunities. It has been a pretty nice few weeks. Right now, we have the possibility of leaving the station. When we leave the station, we let the price go, get more information, but it's been a pretty interesting area with many trade setups. Okay, many trades, many detectable scenarios in this uptrending range. Now is one of those moments that we could be leaving the station, let the price go. If you're in shorts, phenomenal, hold some on. Looking for longs at this stage becomes very risky. You need that structure, 5-wave move up. You need some, okay, we do discuss the possibilities of the bullish scenarios, which we are running out. We're almost invalidating the contracting diagonal. You know, this is still possible, but it doesn't look pretty. That has been explained throughout today's video update. You know, you need a 5-wave move up. You need some kind of a strength and a corrective structure here to believe that we're going to get up to 94k, because you know, at this point, any longs taken moving down with this price action is very risky, very risky. So we may be leaving the station. Legends, thank you very much for joining. Much love to everybody. Staff of One, moderators, Crypto Big Brains was around. Thank you for joining, legends. Have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.